Hi, Team CME, and welcome back to part two of the author and book of the week for April 6, 2020. The author is Linda Maria Smith, and her title of the book is The Kings Are Coming. As I promised, I will be reading to you just an excerpt of chapter 1 of the book. Okay, and I have my glasses on because I need to be able to get started. So you guys go ahead and grab some tea or whatever and relax yourself and sit back and listen. Hopefully you guys have started ordering the book, okay? And waiting anxiously for it to come in the mail. I know I did, okay? So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading from the first chapter here, The Kings Are Coming. When I was very young, I hated the dark and I did not like being alone in my bedroom at night. I would wake up almost every night in a panic because I felt as if I had just fallen back into my bed. On many occasions, I would walk into my parents' room next door and crawl into bed next to my mother. That is where I felt safe. My earliest memory of what I can now call an alien encounter was when I was 3 years old in 1967. On this particular night, I woke up as usual, as if I had fallen back into bed. I got out of bed and walked into the hallway towards my parents' bedroom, but something was in my way. I remember hearing a strange sound and noticed what I thought initially was the dog standing in front of me. It was completely dark, yet I could see 4 small feet glowing with a whitish-blue luminescence. I looked up to see 2 small beings staring at me just as I heard, "Go back to bed," in my head. So I did just that, which was not what I would normally do. These beings were not much taller than me, and they appeared to be glowing in the dark. To this day, I'm still not sure if they were there for me or for my mother, who was pregnant with my sister. Maybe they were there for both of us. I have no further memory of anything else happening after returning to my bed that night. My sister Michelle was born in January of 1968, just before my 4th birthday. We shared the room next to my parents' bedroom until we were old enough, in my parents' eyes, to move upstairs to one of the 2 spare bedrooms. I think Michelle and I moved to the upstairs bedroom when I was 10 and she was 6 years old. The 2 bedrooms upstairs were identical in size, and they each had double walk-in closets that were huge with 1 window between the closets. Our bedroom was light and bright, with white paneling and a white linoleum floor that looked like marble. In my opinion, the other room was dark and gloomy. It had dark hardwood flooring, dark wood molding, and big, heavy, dark wood furniture. This was the room my father's parents stayed in when they came to visit on the weekends from Jackson Heights, Queens. My father and his parents came from Cuba in 1957 and lived in Queens, New York. My Cuban grandmother lovingly called our house in Uniondale the beach house, not because we were on the beach, but because it was very close to Jones Beach compared to Jackson Heights, and we would go out on our boat to spend the day on the beach during the summer. The room my Cuban grandparents would stay in during their weekend visits terrified my sister and I, especially if the door was open and no one was upstairs. There was always a creepy feeling emanating from that room, and we would only go up there when we had to. It was rare for us to have friends up in our room to play. We either played outside at our friends' homes or downstairs in the living room. If the door to my grandparents' room were open when either my sister or I went upstairs, we would run really fast into our bedroom and totally avoid looking to the other bedroom. Our bedroom door faced the other room, and there was a small bathroom in between. I remember that we dreaded going to the bed at night because it meant that we would be alone up there. The dark room across the hall was where these beings came from. At least that is what we thought. I remember saying to my sister, "The Kings are coming." And we would scream and pull the blankets up to our faces in fear of what would happen at night. They were a small alien species that would take us to a ship during the night. My sister's first recollection of an experience takes place just after seeing a very bright light come from the bathroom window when she was about 6 or 7 years old. Afterwards, having been traumatized by some type of experience in the upstairs bathroom, she remembers sitting at the top of the stairs calling out for our mother. She told me she remembers sitting at the top step after this incident and was yelling, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy," but no sound was coming out of her mouth. All my sister will say is that they did something to me that night, but cannot recall the actual experience or has completely blocked it out from her memory, refusing to even attempt to remember. She also remembers one other experience while sleeping in the dark spare room one night with our grandfather. She says she opened her eyes to see a shadowy figure sitting above her on the headboard of the bed. She told me it was the man. To this day, my sister insists she has no other memories of aliens or abductions, but my mother's journal proves otherwise. My poor sister has repressed her memories of these strange nights. We hated sleeping upstairs. During the summer of 1976, just before I started attending Turtle Hook Junior High School, my parents thought it would be a brilliant idea to give us our own rooms. Guess where I was sleeping now? Yes, the darkened room. Just great. I figured I'd better start facing whatever it is in that damned room. So after painting my room blue one afternoon, don't ask, I decided to open both of those wretched closets and take a look inside. I went into the one closet to the bedroom door first. I looked around and sat on one of my grandmother's suitcases. After being there for a moment, that creepy feeling started in my gut. I said to myself, "No one is here, Linda. It's broad daylight, and Mom is right downstairs. Nothing is going to happen." I started looking through the stuff that was there, all of which amounted to nothing more than one of my grandfather's clothing, pictures, and more suitcases. There was nothing to worry about. Yet, I still had this strange feeling in the pit of my stomach that I was being watched. The other closet was filled with my grandfather's clothes, his 8mm movie projector, some reels of old home movies from Cuba, a slide projector, and boxes of slides. All in all, just a normal set of closets. However, when it came time for bed, that room transformed into a portal, and I never knew what to expect. The fear of being visited or taken started to change shortly after I was in my new room. I wasn't paralyzed by fear anymore. The experiences were now about learning. I have several memories of being in a room with other children of varying ages, almost like a school. But the children in that classroom were not all human. It was becoming a familiar place for me during my extraterrestrial travels. There were several experiences during the time period of 1976 that included me being with a younger red-haired boy. We seemed to be very close, even though he was much younger. I don't remember exactly when he started showing up in my experiences, but I believe I was close to 10 or 11 years old. We were together until I was about 15 years of age. The children in that classroom setting were my friends, but this little red-haired boy was extra special, and I know I was assigned to watch over him and to protect him at all costs. Most of the memories I have of my classroom experiences are murky. They are choppy, and it is almost like watching a slideshow rather than a movie. All that aside, there is one memory in particular that is quite clear. The little red-haired boy and I are on the ship, as we always are, holding hands and walking towards the classroom. I believe I had just picked him up from the part of the ship where the arrivals were held and was taking him to the classroom when we were stopped in the middle of this dimly lit corridor. A being suddenly grabbed him and started pulling him away from me. I turned towards the being that was doing this with a look of confusion that said, "Why are you taking him away from me?" The little boy was screaming while he was trying to hang onto my arm as he was being hauled away. I'm not sure how old he was in this memory, but I would guess he's about 6 or 7. I remember not being very happy not having my special friend yanked away from me, and I don't remember getting any explanation as to why they took him away either. I do remember looking down towards a door that was slightly open and could see that there were several beings in a room that resembled a conference room of sorts. There were at least two beings standing together as if they were conferring with each other, and they looked my way when the little red-haired boy was taken from me. I was approached by another being and led into that open room. I was able to get a good look at the huge room now. It was an open space with theater-type seating. There were several beings sitting in the seats and a few standing as well. I was led towards the group that was standing. I cannot remember why I was there, but I have a strong knowing that I was part of that meeting. In 1979, I had just started my sophomore year at Uniondale High School when we moved from Uniondale to Freeport. This was an exciting time for Michelle and I. In my mind, I was going to be able to start fresh in a new school. I wasn't very popular in Uniondale. I wasn't part of the cool crowd, and I was made fun of by some classmates in school and on the bus. During this period of my life, I openly discussed certain beliefs about other life forms on other planets. I was very fascinated by the stars at night and always felt as if I didn't belong here on this planet. Needless to say, I was teased about it, which forced me to keep quiet about my experiences, even to my mother. So moving to a new town was the beginning of a fresh start for me, so as I thought. Not much in the way of any experiences happened during our move. At least I have no recollection of any, as there seemed to be a period of time where nothing happened to my sister or me. However, it could just be that I have suppressed these memories. What I do remember is that I had a heightened sense of sexuality during my early teen years. I didn't act upon anything, but I do remember being on a ship where I was being watched and or guided to perform some sexual acts with a younger boy. Yes, the red-haired boy that was younger than me. When I was 16, I lost my virginity to my first boyfriend, Louis. It wasn't anything to write home about. It didn't feel right. I almost felt as if I were searching for something or someone else, but I couldn't put my finger on it. 15 years would go by before any new recollection of experiences would come flooding into my memory. In 1982, I graduated from high school. In 1987, I gave birth to my first child. And in 1989, I got married for the first time. In 1994, my mother started attending a book club in Massaquoi, or whatever. The same year, my mother started recording her UFO sightings. I'm not sure exactly what prompted her to start recording her sightings, but I think something was triggered for her with the new group she was meeting with. She would sit at the kitchen window in her Freeport house and record every strange set of lights in the sky over the canals. My mother and I started discussing her sightings one night, and this gave me an opportunity to finally open up to her about what Michelle and I had experienced in Uniondale. This was the beginning of a whole new set of experiences for us. So I'm going to stop right there, but I also wanted to go and share some of the pictures in the book that Linda drew as a child and as an adult. This is, if you guys can see that, that's one right there. And these are pictures of her body, different body parts that were, scarred up or had, some type of indentation or proof that, something had happened to her. Matter of fact, these are real scratches all over her back and her neck, puncture wounds and everything. Also, some of her drawings as a child of her experiences that she went through. She actually drew schematics of Doce base, which is, supposedly, an alien base. And I've heard a lot about Doce. Those of you who are into UFO phenomenon and all that stuff, you've heard of that as well. And here's another portrait that she drew as a child. And this as well. I mean, I'm just so amazed at this book. I mean, it's a short book. I mean, but it's so impactful and it's just amazing. So, you know, I read it in one night, and you guys can see I have my tabby things and I have highlights, in the book, so it's an amazing little book. So I want you guys to go ahead and purchase the book and support all of our other authors. Again, ufoteacher.com, and also go to buythisbooktoday.com, Noble 7 Publications, and look at all of our other authors that were presented here for the last couple of weeks. And, and support our authors. These are great works. These are great books. I mean, we're going to be home for 30 more days, people. So, what you going to do? Let's read. Let's talk. Let's discuss some things. Let's, you know, share with like-minded people. Okay. So again, I love you guys so very much, and I thank you for bearing with me this evening and for our author and book of the week. And as always, and in closing now, I wish all of you guys to be safe. Again, with this COVID-19 thing, hopefully and prayerfully that it will be over very, very quickly. And I will see you next. CME out. And this always, always read more, learn more, and absolutely love more. I love you guys. I'll see you next. Bye.